Hi, so this is Nicole from The Restless Knitter, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to do an I-cord bind off. I featured this technique in my most recent pattern, Persuading Jane, and I think it makes a really fantastic finishing edge that you can apply to absolutely any of your knits. So this is what it looks like finished. As you can see, I've done it in a contrasting colour. In the pattern itself, you do it in the same colour, but of course you could do it contrasting if that was a look you're going for. So today I'm going to show you how it's done. Alright, so I've got my stitches on my needle. This is a small swatch that I've knit ages ago. And basically what we're going to do is apply the I-cord edge to the top here. Now let's say you were knitting, I don't know, a cardigan or whatever. These would be the stitches that you would bind off for your edge. So you might do some ribbing, you might just bind them off straight as it is, you might do a few garter rows, whatever. The I-cord bind off is just a different way of binding off that gives a really professional, neat finish, and it looks great. And it's also really awesome for working a contrast colour in, as you will see today. Okay, so I'm using some pink yarn, and we're going to start by casting on some stitches onto our first stitch on the needle. So I'm going to go between the first two stitches on the left needle. I'm going to wrap my pink yarn around. I'm going to pull it through just like you would cast on any other stitch, and I'm going to place that onto the left needle. And I'm going to do that twice more. So I'm going to push that through between the stitches, wrap it, pull it through, and place it on the needle. And one last time, wrap it, pull it through, and place it on the needle. Now you could actually cast on more stitches than 3. You could do 4 or 5. You could just do 2. The only thing to bear in mind is that you are creating a rolled edge. So the more stitches you have, the bulkier it will be. When you knit an I-cord, normally you do it on double pointed needles, so you can slide the stitches from one end to the other and keep working in a little circle. You can't do that in this case because we're going to be working along this edge here. So I'm going to show you how we work it to create that edge. Okay, so those first 2 stitches that we've cast on, we're just going to knit normally. So knit 1, knit 2, and then the third stitch we cast on and the first original stitch are going to be knit together. So I'm going to use a slip slip knit. You can use a slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over as well. So slip, slip, and then knit those 2 together. I insert the left tip through the front of the 2 stitches and knit them through the back loop. So you can see there. Now we're going to pass all 3 stitches that we've just worked back to the left hand needle and repeat those steps. It's really sticky. It's getting really hot today. So my yarn and my needles are all sticking together. Okay, so we're going to knit. Now this time, okay, so the yarn is actually coming out of the 3rd stitch here. We're going to start knitting this stitch. So we're going to be pulling that yarn across. So this is how we create the I-cord. I'm going to knit that first stitch, and as we slide it off, I'm just going to give that a little bit of a tug. I don't want to tug it too tight because I don't want to distort the stitches, but I want it tight enough that it does pull around and doesn't have a gap. So once I insert it in the 2nd stitch, I also give it another little gentle but firm tug. Knit the 2nd stitch. I think I've caught. Oh dear. Okay, knit the 2nd stitch, and we slip, slip, and knit. Slip, slip, and knit. Okay, let me just show you a couple more times because we're almost at the end. So we're going to knit, knit, slip, slip, knit those two together, pass the 3 stitches back, knit, knit, slip, slip, knit. Oops, had a feeling I had split the stitch. These last couple of stitches are a bit loose on this swatch. Okay, and this is our final one, so we're going to knit the last 3, slip, slip, and knit that very last stitch. And then, I mean, there are a couple of ways you can finish off those last 3 stitches. You can decrease them down again. If you're working in the round, you could have done a provisional cast on back at this end and you can graft them. I generally just knit the 3 together. I find that that works just fine. And if you are working in the round, you can just use your tail end to sort of stitch them and hide. Ugh. Knitting 3 stitches together is a bit tricky. So I knit all 3 together, slide them off, and then I didn't bring any scissors. I'm just going to snap this yarn, and then literally just slide that straight through. No, it won't come unraveled. And there you have it. An I-cord edging, or applied I-cord bind off, whatever you want to call it. That's how it looks.